All right. It says we're live.
Yep.
Let's see if we are. If anyone's out there in the
hopes.
chat, we've had some technical difficulties tonight, and we'd love to see a chat on screen to see if we can see it. Because otherwise, this is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, we could just have it open.
Yeah, my phone is still.
Oh, maybe I have to go and start the stream manually. I probably do. All right, let's go to go live. Go to this one. I have an end stream button.
Ooh.
It does say we're live. Okay,
yeah, we are live.
We are live. Let's see if.
Oh, we missed a.
God damn it! There's no chat. Son of a bitch! All right, hold on. All right, everybody, we're flying by the seat of our pants tonight. We're having some technical difficulties. I got to get the chat popped out for us. And I will see. Let me see here. Pop out chat.
Yeah, we are live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me move it down here.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. We are.
You Ginger Fraser Babyface supposed to be back to suckle on D's knowledge of Birthright. That's tomorrow. Finishing Jeremy Johnson now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President, for that very coherent message. We really appreciate it. We see Buttquack already got us a super chat here. If you guys give me just 1 second, I'm going to play around with OBS. I think I can add our something in here, our chat.
Did you guys see that Biden introduced Zelensky as President Putin at his press conference?
Really?
Did,
yeah, and he referred
Vice
to
President Trump,
Vice President Trump.
First woman or first black woman?
Yeah,
president.
Incredible.
Vice President, first president.
Let me see here. All right, I think I can get the chat, but it's only going to show on ours.
Oh man,
for highlighting it. So let me give me. All right, give me 1 second. I got this all completely backwards now. Does it work?
See a lot of friendly faces out in the chat. Cal's here. Yeah. Bacon Gaming.
Bacon. Yeah. Bacon had a great video yesterday, putting forth his first draft on a new theory. So hopefully we can stop talking about GNS theory because it's wrong and it's just a god awful model.
All right, I think we
got it. Yeah,
I think we got it. So this way, now I just need to find the chat window. Holy shit! We are, as you can see, this is excellent production values and nothing but professionalism over here at Black Lodge Games. Gotta move this to.
These guys are doing it right.
Yep, exactly. Anyway, welcome everybody to the Black Lodge Games live stream. We have a very special treat tonight in that Diversity and Dragons, not Discourse and what is it? Discourse and Dragons or Dungeons and Discourse?
Dungeons and Discourse, I think.
Whose channel I actually really like. I do
too. I love the thumbnails. The scandal just got worse. It's like every other video is about the scandal getting worse.
Yeah. It's the same thumbnail every time. It's so good.
A good channel,
and I don't blame her.
They're a really good host. Yeah.
Yeah. If you find a thumbnail format that works and that you can just repeat, then that's awesome because thumbnails are really annoying and really hard.
I learned that from what you guys. I remember you said something pretty profound. Because I kind of just waded my way through that, and you guys had something interesting to say. You guys said it's not strictly about your content. You do have to think about your title. You do have to think about your thumbnail before your video. Yeah. And I started, that really resonated with me. I'm like, all right, how can I do a little bit better? So I started to learn how to use Photoshop and stuff like that. Mine are marginally better now. And, I think it has made a difference.
It has made a difference though. That's the thing. Yeah. And I think I've probably mentioned this in your chat at least once, but there's the channel vidIQ.
Yes.
Awesome.
Great channel.
Great channel. And they actually have advice that works. But yeah, YouTube is really hard.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's like, you think it's like golf, you think you master it and then, you go out and then you just shit your pants and
right.
But yeah, you guys are definitely doing it right.
Thank you,
man.
I enjoy your content.
We're definitely trying. I mean, it's just that like nobody out there has anything to say, like really, and like the advice videos and everything.
We were looking through a bunch today. We had some really good ideas about some future content that will be
that I can't
coming down the pike very soon.
Yeah, that I can't believe we didn't do earlier.
The thing about advice is the answer is not always sexy because it's people want to say like this works, that works. in my opinion, the reality is a lot of different little things work. You know, you kind of cobble together, you know, like, oh, are you you know, like the method actor, or, you know, like the theater kids game. Well, maybe not strictly, but there's nothing wrong with a little bit of, you know, someone getting into their character at a key point and then just kind of, you know, leaning into it. I love that.
Yeah. And the thing that, because we watched this video today that was like, holy shit, like this guy made being a game master sound literally like a corporate coal mine job. From the beginning, because he's like, you know, you have to do this and you have to do this and you have to do this, and it's really hard and blah blah blah. I was like, why would anyone want to do this?
The way they describe it, it's I mean, look, I've been doing it for so long, I don't quite remember what it was like, you know, at the very beginning. You know, I still even get a little bit of butterflies when we first start a session, like, am I going to do good? And then, you know, I've been doing it so long, you kind of ease into it, right? So I do understand those, you know, the kind of like I said, unsureness of a new DM. But yeah, it shouldn't ever be a chore, you know, to do it.
Well, this is the thing. You know, none of these people have any first, second, third, or any principles.
They don't have any principles.
Everybody's regurgitating the same talking points, which have been going on ad nauseum online for forever, certainly as long as YouTube. And these are like, it's like throwing darts against a wall, not even aiming towards a bullseye. There's no objective really in mind with a lot of these tips. It's like, well, vaguely do this, vaguely do that. It's so tepid, very surface level, and there's no conception or even idea that there's something specific or something in particular that you're trying to do. Are you trying to go for a certain tone? Is there a particular system or a particular setting that implies or requires a certain degree of focus? Absolutely no awareness or recognition of that. It's truly awful.
And that's why if I don't do a ton of advice, you know, and I'm sure maybe I have given some generic advice as well, but I try to aim mine into the very, very much specific realm. Like, oh, I do this specific thing that helps me. This mechanic I like. It's not like, this is how you handle your group. You know, you gotta, you know, do this. You gotta, you know, get those vocal cords warmed up. You know, do that. Do your scales and shit like that. It's like, no. Everybody's got to find their way that way. But if there's a tip that of something, a certain something that I prepare or a mechanic I use, I'll be happy to offer it. But
right, I think the main thing for me is that, like, everybody spends, not everybody, but most like normies spend so much time prepping for a game session, and they keep talking about this, and everybody keeps talking about how much burnout there is. And it's like, if you've done it long enough, there's no wonder. Yeah, there's no wonder. It's terrible, but you come to a realization at some point that it's all for nothing. Because if you don't force the game, like force the railroad on someone, your players are going to do a bunch of shit you're not prepared for anyway. So it's like, stop trying to plan for every contingency. Just go and play the game and see what happens. Yeah, and roll with the punches.
The DM advice should be geared towards that, how to react, how to be a counter puncher. Instead, it's all about like planning and preparation and, you know, do this. It's like, no, you need to learn how to think on your feet, in a way that's not going to totally, you know, to tank your, you know, your game with, you know, with some awful spur of the moment decisions.
Yeah, you know? and the thing is, it's like, if you don't have everything planned out beforehand anyway, like, the players aren't going to know that. Like, I've explained to our players several times, I'm like, I don't plan anything. And so, like, they're constantly doing these like schemes where they're like, okay, this is how we're going to outsmart them this time or whatever. And I keep telling them, like, I don't know what you're trying to outsmart. Like, I don't have a plan going into the session, so we're just going to do it.
I don't think it's a matter of preparing for the individual session. I do think you need to put some thought.
Rules for avoiding burnout. And then the video turns out the best is going to be a fuck ton of homework. that's just gonna make you never want to run the game again anyway. Come on, man. No joke.
Thank you, Buckwhack, for the $10. And I think we got another one coming through from Bruce
Keith
Maximus.
Baker said that if you redid Birthright, he'd likely ditch bloodline abilities strategically how necessary to setting new think bloodlines and associated mechanics are to Birthright.
So the question is, Keith Barker said that if he redid Birthright, he'd likely ditch bloodlines abilities. Exactly how necessary to the setting do you think bloodlines and associated mechanics are to Birthright?
Excellent segue.
Yeah. There's nothing. I wouldn't say it's integral, but if you do have a blooded character, even if they're not connected to a realm, it is like a little kicker, and it does sort of give you a little bit of a tie-in to the setting. In other words, if they treat it just like, I guess, just like a magic ability or whatever, whatever it is, it's probably not doing it the right way. But if you can say, like, this is the ability that the Morgans have had, for generations, our ability to do this, our connection with the land. So it's not integral, but it's helpful. And it's not game wrecking, it's a little bit of a perk usually.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested in hearing more about Birthright, because it's something I've heard about in the ether, but don't really know. It's not a game I've run, not a game I've played before, but it seems really interesting. So with regard to like the existence of blooded characters, in my understanding, it seems to me if you're playing a blooded character or if there's a blooded NPC, it's kind of like a Hercules or a Theseus. You're kind of like a demigod. But is that...
you have some sort of divine energy in your bloodline,
right?
Correct?
You do. I'm going to be like that Tucker Carlson interview with Vladimir Putin. First, we must go back to the mid 1990s.
Yeah.
All right. So, how to put this? I wouldn't say it's exactly like that, at least in my experience. As far as them being, demigods. The way the setting works is you get your blooded abilities because of the Battle of Mount Damar. It was essentially kind of like in some ways, a very standard fantasy story. An evil god, is trying to corrupt the people of the land. The people of Cerealia rise up. There's elves involved. They fight. The gods actually come down, take human form, essentially. They sacrifice themselves to defeat the old gods. But when they sacrifice themselves, their blood makes a new pantheon of gods, but it also spreads their blood into the land and into the people. And that's where you get these blood abilities.
Okay.
So you certainly can play it to where you're kind of an uber man, but I never read the rules to be that, like, being blooded, there's only like 10 people in the realm, that are blooded. There are many people in the realm.
Okay. Blooded. It's a lot more common then. Okay.
It is a lot more common. And there is a difference in the strength of your bloodline too. So some people have very strong bloodlines. And if you read, the initial rule set, the personalities in the, the rulers of the lands, they will tell you, like, oh, Eric Borween, strong, one of the strongest bloodlines in current day. Darian Avon, one of the strongest bloodlines. Of course, those are the two that were meant to fight. In my campaign, they did, but neither of them got the Iron Throne. It was actually one of my players who never actually sat on it because he kind of left the group, before he could. But his character was an NPC who actually became the first emperor of the newly united Anurian Empire.
Yeah,
nice. So it's varying, I guess. You can play it like that, and certainly the strongest have that ability, but there's also just a lot of middling and low bloodline characters.
Okay. That's very cool. So the next question is, of course, you just mentioned the Iron Throne. Do you think George R.R. Martin played Birthright before writing Game of Thrones?
I did a Birthright video about like my 7 best reasons, why I liked it. And I kind of put that in there as a cheeky, like, did he, yeah. And I think somebody in the chat said, no, he was working on his book before Birthright came out, which I can believe.
Back when
if you think about it, it's not a real, stretch or obscure thing. I'm sure, Iron Throne. I don't know. So it could be, couldn't be. It wouldn't surprise me either way.
But there is some even if it's not like setting similarity necessarily, Birthright's a very different kind of campaign setting than had been produced by TSR prior to that, because you had things like Forgotten Realms and Dark Sun, going back Greyhawk, Dragonlance, all of these very cool settings. This one though was very focused on like domain play and domain scale, and was a bit more, and correct me if I'm wrong, a bit more of a low magic setting. It's not like the Forgotten Realms. Yeah.
Their problem was they didn't know how to sell it, because they had a diamond in the rough just in the setting itself.
Right.
But I think people looked at it and they saw at certain points, maybe to what a lot of folks thought was kind of a dry, almost like a board game. And if you mix in the war card system, which I'm sure we'll get into, maybe a little mini war game. Now, look, for me, I was all in when I heard all this. But as time went on, we did play a little bit of domain play early. We've used the war cards, a little bit here and there throughout. But it's just the setting, how rich it was, and I'm like, holy shit! Like, there's a lot of hooks in here, and you have to remember, I was 20, maybe like 25, 26 or whatever when it came out. I'm a young guy, and I'd only been kind of just DMing off the cuff stuff, like, oh, let's run this adventure, let's do this. We did a little bit of a Planescape. I did a Planescape campaign. This is the first one where I said I want to build this world, and I'm like, but holy shit, I already have a lot of it kind of laid out, and I'm like, get these guys going, and how are they going to live in it? We're still living in that world, but it is in campaign. Like game time, it's 70 years, so we're like three generations through.
Yeah, which is something I've always wanted to do in a campaign, is like a multi-generational thing. And this is like the kind of the interesting thing that you've got, especially with this Birthright campaign, Birthright campaign, is that you've been playing the same campaign ostensibly for a very, very long time, and across multiple editions of the rule sets. And so this was a product that was made
with
for
all this talk of bloodline powers. What if Birthright was the source of the concept of the sorcerer's class that started in 3 thoughts?
With all this talk of bloodline powers, what if Birthright was the source of the concept of the sorcerer's class that started in 3E? For $5. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I guess
usually it notifies us when Biden is about to talk,
just give me the little he's I guess it would depend on how much Rich Baker's involvement was in that aspect of 3rd edition. Rich was kind of the leading force behind that. It's possible that there was some influence there, but keep in mind, this campaign came along at the very end of TSR. Like, I think it came out in 95. TSR was bought out in 97. So they were probably just looking like the Wizards of the Coast probably saw it. They're like, what the hell's this Birthright? How many, how many units do we have sitting in the warehouse here? Get this thing the F out of here. So maybe they were just like, get rid of all this stuff. So I don't know how it was viewed, but it's possible.
Yeah, it was the last campaign setting made for AD&D 2nd edition, and that's before the big reboot with 3rd edition just a few years later. And people complained at the time that 3E was this huge departure and everything like that. But from what I've read, it seems like a lot of the stuff that became the 3E core mechanics were things that were late additions to 2nd edition. It was like all the newest products that had all these new optional systems and ways to do things.
It was called Skills and Power. There was a series of books called Skills and Power, and it was a very cool, unique, like you said, kind of addition to the 2nd edition of the game. Came along very, very late in the game, though.
Yeah, and I had never heard of Birthright. I was only knew of the Forgotten Realms and Dark Sun at the time. And just the pictures of all the campaign settings that were in the AD&D 2nd edition books, because that's what my brothers had been playing was 2nd edition. But the rule changes from 2nd edition to 3rd edition were significant, and then from 3rd edition to and I'm including 3.5 and 3rd edition. But from 3rd edition to 4th edition were huge, and then again from 4th edition to 5th edition. And I believe you're playing Castles and Crusades now, right?
We are.
Oh, cool.
How the fuck did you do all that? And how did really? This is the more interesting thing. Is like, how did the game itself change when you changed systems?
The thing is, my group is so invested in their characters. It really didn't have as big an effect as you may think. You know, it's kind of like, hey guys, you know, we always prided ourselves like, hey, there's something new's coming along. Let's give it a shot. You know, and you know, we didn't have, you know, the kind of the focus today where everybody's, you know, kind of looks back and is like, hey, we kind of had it better back then. Then it was like, all right, 2nd edition's good, but quite frankly, as you guys probably already know, 2nd edition wasn't very well thought of. In fact, Vampire was a huge challenger to 2nd edition D&D as far as popularity. So it was not a very popular game. So when they said they were going to reboot it, we were like, hell yeah, you know, like inject a little life into this thing. Yeah,
bring fantasy back.
It's just a matter of, now keep in mind too, when 3rd edition came along, there was a small but dedicated group of people who updated like mechanically a lot of stuff for Birthright into 3rd edition.
Oh, okay.
But by that point, because the Empire had kind of been reformed, like we stopped doing domain play. It was more like the characters are now just characters in this realm. And yes, some of them are blooded. They get they get some special abilities, you know, which we just kind of worked out as, you know, I guess like they were either like handcrafted or, you know, maybe just like an extra feat or something like that.
Feat or a spell-like ability or something.
Yes. So I think everybody just kind of got it like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll just make our characters like this. But honestly, it's all in how you present your realm. The mechanics, honestly, have never meant very much. It's always like, how do we just reimagine this? Oh, we have a strong fighter who knows how to use magic. You know, he's blooded. You can do that for any edition, really. I mean, 4th edition was it got a little crazy. We had a great start to our 4th edition because low-level combat in 4th edition for like a group of people who war game and stuff like that, it wasn't that bad, but just the math got a little crazy after a while. It's like, here's my attack bonus. It's let's see, it's plus 27. I'm going against your defense of like 33. Yeah, like, hold on, guys, let me get my abacus out. So it kind of came untenable. And of course, Wizards of the Coast abandoned that really quick. So I actually was a little pissed. I'm like, well, fuck, if these guys aren't.
I bought all these goddamn books, and now,
you guys aren't loyal to this. Why the hell am I? So we just
it's we finally played 4E for the first time like a month or two ago. John Smith, I'm not sure if he's in the chat right now, and but he ran like, I think it was
like three
sessions where we started as 3rd level characters, and we're basically trying to like break our way out of this city on like this escort mission. And it's clearly a very well thought out game. Like, people really hate on that game, and I get why, because it's not like 2nd edition or 3rd edition or 5th edition D&D. It's very different. But it's one of these things where Wizards of the Coast always seems to be their own worst enemy. Like, if they had called it Dungeons and Dragons Tactics or plate mail, I think is what someone made the joke,
they would have had a second viable, they would have probably a thriving second franchise.
They would have had 2 successful games.
What you got there, you will find a level of ingenuity that you will never find again. And I should point out, one of the main like 2 or 3 people responsible for that edition was Rich Baker, the guy who was responsible for Birthright. A brilliant guy. U.S. Navy, retired. I always chuckle at people like Monty Cook who are just so proud of the fact that they never held an honest job in his life. Oh, I went right from college into the RPG world. Well, it's like, thanks for telling me you don't know fuck all about anything. You get a guy like Rich Baker who's probably pretty unassuming, but just knows stuff. And it's like, that's kind of why it initially we loved 4th edition.
4 breaks down even faster than Reed did his players level. Around level 10, everyone is throwing around so many modifiers that combat bogs down.
Yeah, that was our experience too. it just that, and the fact that it was clear they were giving up on it. I was like, oh man. But yeah, those first couple editions, it was probably one of the high points of my entire run. There was a war going on between the Empire of Anyer and the Red Kings of Aftane, which is one of the Eastern. They're kind of like Middle Eastern, like Kenazi. They're called. And they were a real threat. So there was a war going on, and all my players were involved in this war. They went on campaign, and it was such a cool time. So in a way, 4E played right into it because there was a lot of combat, a lot of cool combat, a lot of good things. There wasn't quite as much like, freelance dungeon delving. There was a little bit of that at times, but it was mostly like just, hey, you guys are on campaign. Also
doesn't seem like it's something that, like, dungeon delving doesn't seem like it
doesn't seem part of the
feel of the setting.
What you're really doing.
Yeah, for the edition, I guess I would say for the edition, for the setting, it is. There's a lot of cool places in Anyer, or Cerelia, I guess I should say, to do that. But yeah, if you look at the rules for 4th edition, it's not really set up for traditional D&D. It's not like meet it in, talk about things and then go out, pillage the dungeon, come back. It was a huge departure. I can see why a lot of people didn't like it. I didn't mind it. I'm pretty adaptable though. I mean, I'm pretty easy. I can find the good in a lot of things. But you're who's it? Zen is right. It does start to break out, and I would say even a little bit before 10th level, it started to go down a little bit. Just it was hard to as a DM. It was hard. One thing I liked about 4th edition was in their monster manual. If you look, they gave you like 3 different versions of like standard monsters, which I thought was so cool. It's like, oh, here's a goblin at low level, here's a mid level one. Oh shit, here's a high level one. And I'm like, damn.
Yeah, John lent us some of his 4E books, and was it wasn't the monster manual itself. It was a later supplement.
It was like a consolidation.
Yeah,
like a soft cover consolidation.
Yeah, it's like kind of a beige color.
Yes. And the stat blocks are like beautiful. They're super readable. Everything is useful on it. And Grognard, who's in the chat right now, our good friend Spencer, he was telling us that it actually came with a really good suite of software tools at the time too, for like building encounters where you could just like, I need this orc to be much more powerful. Just like click, click, click. And it's like, okay, now it's now I have it.
Yeah. It was really unique. And it's something that I was a little bit dismayed to see never carried over to 5th edition. So it's like, oh, we see a goblin. Well, we know it's got, 10 hit points or whatever or less. And damn, 4th edition, you didn't know if you were getting a super, like a super orc, super goblin or something like that. And then your players would be a little bit fearful of what they were facing because they never knew.
Right. As they should be.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you can still do that now. But a lot of times you're just kind of winging it, a little bit. It can be done, but
I'm really curious. We've talked, we were talking, just as we opened about being, not white knuckling the steering wheel, being reactive and being reactive and proactive for running a game in a single place. Same multi generations of the same characters. Maybe new people have come and gone along the way, but for that long, across that many editions, that long in real time, and for a setting that has not had any additional published material for it. If you were going to use that, there's not been anything for a very long time. How I'm like really curious what you've learned and what have the players sort of done to really shape and change how the setting, and what's the name of the setting again? You said it several times. What is in Birthright?
The name of the world.
The name of the world.
I think the actual world it's like O-Earth or something, but the continent where all the business takes place is called Cerelia.
Cerelia, okay.
And there's a southern continent that they only give you the tip of, which is cool. It's called Adoria, and that features prominently in its past. So you can kind of make Adoria whatever you want.
Yeah, I love that. That's something that we always talk about with like RPG supplements. Is I like having some like a little bit of inspiration, but a big blank space left.
Right,
you know,
right.
Give that to you. And even in the realms they detail, they'll say like, oh, we don't know what goes on here, so they're basically telling you like, you're free to
make it up.
Right.
Yeah, make it up. And that is a great question about how the players have kind of influenced the realm. Like my co-host and dear friend Crazy Mouse, just one of his characters, they did some looting early on. This would have been, when he first started playing with us, which is like right after 3rd edition came out. Well, just the way it came out, he's like, yeah, outside the Imperial City is a bunch of apple orchards. He's like, you know what? I'm going to set up like a place that makes brandy, like apple brandy. Like, oh, cool. Yeah. He's like, I'm going to start it small.
We touch on the Awnsheghlien, the dark side of using bloodlines and birthright, and why the monsters are dangerous to leave or slay.
Question is for $5. Thank you, Bruce Maximus. We very much appreciate that. Can we touch on some sort of name I can't pronounce? Starts with an A.
Awnsheghlien.
The
Awnsheghlien. That's how I always say it.
Okay.
The dark side of using bloodlines and birthright, and why the monsters are dangerous to leave or slay.
Interesting.
That is because sometimes, excuse me, I'm not sure if I've ever contemplated whether there's a dark side of using bloodlines, unless you have a dark bloodline, which none of my players do, because I generally stay away from the evil PCs. There is something called blood theft. We'll touch on that maybe in a little bit. As far as the monsters, dangerous to leave or slay. That is a great question, because one of the main Awnsheghlien is called the Gorgon, and he was actually right up there at Mount Daymar fighting on the bad guy's side. Okay, so what happened is all the good, all the good gods, their blood got spread everywhere, but so too the bad god, his blood kind of got spread too. That's what created these Awnsheghlien. They're like twisted creatures, essentially like bosses, like regional bosses. Essentially, you can kind of look at them as. But the thing is, they're not just raving lunatics. Some of them, like the Gorgon and others, are the leaders of their own realm. So as bad as they are, sometimes they provide some stability in an odd way to the land. They're like a known factor. There's one called the Vampire. And he kind of looks, kind of like a Nosferatu vampire.
Funny enough, he's a werewolf though. It's just his name. No.
But he's like very xenophobic, so he generally doesn't bother anybody, and he actually runs his realm like people live there.
Is there one vampire in the world?
I'm not. There's only one vampire Awnsheghlien. Now there can be vampires.
More vampires. Okay.
But they all come from like him, the vampire. Is he like the Dracula?
He's not. At least they don't describe him as that. Hold on one second.
That would be cool if there was just one.
Although you could run it like
badass vampire.
Yeah.
Here's the Trask. It's this mythic beast.
See if I can. He actually featured prominently because he's in one of my players. His mother was the regent of the realm right to the south of the vampire. So there was like a kind of like a little bit of our campaign kind of ventured down there. He is really cool looking. Where is he? Ooh, the White Witch.
Is she hot?
She better be.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's the camera is right in the middle of the TV, so which we're looking at. That is really cool though.
The art is really good.
Yeah, that is something that I was looking through the PDF. So I was like, damn, this is cool.
I was so happy.
Ben Otero did I think Ben Otero did a lot of that interior cover. It's so understated, but so good.
Yeah, like muted tones, earth tones, which again, that color palette drives home a feel. It drives home like a thematic core.
Yeah.
I really like it.
And we did find
the origin The true origin.
The true origin of the pointing soy jack meme, which was the pointing orcs.
I saw that. Yeah, the guys. Yeah, so I started laughing. I'm like, holy shit, they may be onto something there.
What did they mean by that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I'm glad you brought that up. The art, just like any campaign, like Planescape was Tony Dieterlizzi, you know,
So
he
very
made,
incredibly evocative and very unique.
Had a
to
vision.
That setting.
Yeah.
So too with this, but like I said, it's not as flashy as Tony's.
Right.
But it's just so well done, so understated. You look at the picture, and it's not like it doesn't come out and grab you; it almost pulls you in.
Yeah,
you know, it's like I'm looking at a picture of just kind of like an inn, and it's kind of dark. There's a little seedy. It looks pretty authentic, and it almost like, ooh, I can see myself going in there.
Yeah,
there is. So that we have a game here called Shadows of Esterin.
Oh, it's in the
that
other
has. I think there's one right here though.
Oh yeah, there's several books.
Oh yeah, literally the art book, dark romanticism.
Yeah.
It has definitely a more modern feel to the aesthetic and the art, but it's similar in that way of like some of it's watercolor and like all this like really muted and like dark tones, like everything.
Yes.
And I see we do have the this we can do the screen share. I can pull that up if you like.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see here.
There we go.
Yeah. So that's the just if you just want to kind of I think I can do this, can't I?
Yep, I think you got it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So this is the DM screen, which is kind of sitting right behind me. But like, holy shit, this is the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That the DM uses. It has this fantastic. Fantastic. I think this is that Tony Zudillo. I never know how to pronounce his name. I think he did maybe the cover for this.
Okay.
So it still kind of fits into the general in the general style. Now that's Cerealia.
That's a great map. That's an amazing map.
All the maps here are so cool. I got on Amazon. You're allowed to. They have these. If you give them a PDF or a image file, you can get these blankets made. I got a blanket made.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Wow.
Interesting. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. So this is the world. And if you kind of look in that left-hand corner, you see where Edoria is. That's the southern continent. And right across from that is Anyer. And this is kind of where they want you, at least in the box, to start. These are all individual realms. My one player, I call him Gavin Morgan. That was actually one of his characters.
What is this? The crossover of the century.
You're damn right, EIB for $2. This is the crossover of the century.
But my one player started as the region of Osorde, which is kind of over there on the right-hand side on the coast. And that's where we did like our kind of brief dabble into the domain play. He was trying to get his kingdom back. He did. So he had to run it for a little while, and it was fun. But yeah, here's like something. Here's like that inn scene. It kind of pulls you in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like lit as if it would be with electric lighting, incandescent bulbs. It's
like you find yourself
daylight.
Yeah, it's like you're physically almost kind of drawn to kind of do this, to kind of lean in and see. So it kind of has that effect of almost drawing you in mentally too.
Yeah.
What's this dude reading?
Yeah, it's a subdued style. We kind of touch on this in one of our recent videos, not about art directly, but this is sort of subdued, more like I don't know if you'd call it a more minimal style, but it's certainly subdued. It's like darker, grungier from a certain perspective, but there's something like positive about it. There's something
something positive, and I'm thinking about this.
This isn't like glorifying like, oh, everyone is miserable,
right?
A lot of people are in this place. There's
it's like that's a leader there on the horse, and he's just kind of looking down on two guys that are conducting business in the public square.
This
is
is
such a cool
thing.
Everyday,
it's an everyday scene, but it's like all the terrible art that's come out about the new edition. It's like, put aside all of the woke like part of it. It's like nothing's ever happening in it.
Yeah, it's still
they
bad.
seem like they have it. Everything's totally in control, but it's so
flat,
clean and flat. But it's also they're all doing like really silly, unrealistic things, like bringing in the baked goods into the forge, and he's wearing his Birkenstocks.
Yeah, and it's like even take away, like you said, take away the woke stuff. I don't care about a bunch of like dwarf. It's what did I say or you say? It's like this. What am I going to do as a player character here? Everything looks like
they solved all the problems.
They solved all the problems. They had everything well in hand. It's like
there's nothing left to do. There's nothing left to fight for. It's,
it's like here. It's like this is kind of this slice of life, but it's a very different kind of slice of life. This is a slice of life that actually looks like something could be happening within the world, whereas there's that one picture that they have where it's just a bunch of different elves walking around, and there's a guy who's like charming or enchanting the flower or whatever, and everybody's holding hands. It's like,
oh, that one. Yeah.
What? I don't know what world that is.
Like, it's not a realistic world in any way, shape, or form. It's not an interesting world,
right?
And like everybody's doing something, but it's like everybody's sort of striking a pose. It's the cover for some corporate media, which is what it is. With this, it's like, what are those two guys talking about? That's interesting. What kind of business are they hashing?
So the one thing you should know is Birthright is the anti-furry setting, okay? Because you are meant with not even just a wink. It's just kind of like, come on now, you're going to play a human, right?
Yeah.
Because elves in this game are incredibly xenophobic.
Sorry, we got a super chat here. Off-Grid Grognard for $2 Canadian says, I got backstabbed by Corn Pop the Thief. Which I'd like to remind everyone, Corn Pop was actually real.
Yes. But you can't really play elves in this game. They are villainous. They are xenophobic and villainous. Dwarves really... they're not like anti-human like the elves are, but they generally stick into the mountains and that's it. So it's hard to like, hey, we got this adventure here. I think maybe one of my players was a dwarf in all this time. So it's a human-centric setting, which I love.
I love that. Yeah, I do too. Like this was actually, I was looking at potentially running Birthright when we very first started our channel. We were like, let's run something old school, because I was like, I haven't done actual D&D basically since I was a kid. Like I haven't run it. And then when I was a kid, I was barely running it. So I was like, I want to go back and like look at the different settings. Like what could we do if I was going to run AD&D second edition again? And we're looking at like Greyhawk and just like the Wikipedia articles, and we've told this story a bunch of times, but it's like this is the world of Oath, and the axial tilt of the planet is 15 degrees, blah blah, and we were just like, holy shit!
Furry, tell me more.
You had me at anti-furry. Tell me more. Nice. Thank you, Ken, for the $5.
A man of refined taste.
Yeah, but we were looking through these different settings, and I was considering Birthright for a while because I was like, this sounds really interesting. And it sounds like I want something that reminds me of like something that could have been real in our world, in our mythology, and this whole thing of like everybody's, a dragon person or, some weird monster type. I was like, I have no interest in playing that. Like, I just want people.
Yeah.
I just want to play that.
This is the thing
people.
Also, it's like, you're right about that. I just want to play. Can we like strip away all of the bullshit? But if you're going to make it a point that this is a game, this is a world where we want you to play elves and dwarves and dragon people and all these things, you can do that, but make them interesting. Yes. None of these other they're purposefully just as drab and boring as everything else. There's legitimately, even if I wanted to play a dragonborn or a tiefling or a dwarf or an elf or whatever, there's nothing for me to like bite onto.
It's like store-bought interest in your character. Like I can't make this character compelling. I'll just give him a
he's compelling because he's a tiefling.
And you'd be shocked, because my wife is in a board game group. And there's some younger ladies there, and they love playing, 5th edition. God bless them. But they'll be talking, to my wife, who's been, a player since the beginning, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm a tabaxi, I'm this, that." Of course,
I don't even know what that
fall
is.
apart. It's a cat. It's a cat person.
Geez.
I wish I
man.
didn't know that, but
This was the funniest thing. I like maybe within the last month or so, my parents came through Texas, and I was at my brother's place, and his oldest
Cheers,
daughter.
gentlemen. It's great to see content creators supporting each other. It makes for a great show.
Oh, thank you,
man.
Birthright be considered an evolution of Greyhawk.
Oh,
I don't know that it's a.
thank you for the $20, man. That's very
thank you.
generous.
good to
That's
see you,
very
Howard.
generous.
Howard is a great dude.
Yeah, he's
Howard is a
definitely
great
popped
dude.
into our stream a couple of times. Thank you. That is very generous. $20. But I don't know that Birthright is necessarily an evolution of Greyhawk, but I do know that Greyhawk had a lot more because Gygax was huge into war games and literal war game campaigns and things like that. Greyhawk had a lot of the empires and politics and things like that, but it not in the same way. It was a much more pulp sort of a world.
Yeah, a little different. Rich Baker has kind of gone over, and I'm not saying he wasn't in some ways influenced or inspired by Greyhawk, but Birthright started out as a novel. He was gonna do a novel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this was gonna be like his. It was gonna be like a Game of Thrones. Before there was a Game of Thrones. It didn't get accepted, but then they tasked him like, "Hey, we need a new setting," and he's like, "You know what? I got some pretty good ideas here." And he gave it to him, and they're like, "Yeah, this sounds good."
Did he ever? Was that book ever published? Like this idea for a novel that he had? Because I would buy that. I would be very interested.
Yeah, I don't think it was. Now there are Birthright novels, but I don't think it's the original one. Because I don't know if he ever quite finished it. Maybe he just kind of had it, sort of ready, or had a treatment, with some detail, and then just kind of mined that. That's a good question.
Okay,
I'd like to.
Says that live 100s of years mean nothing is really old. Won't the elf be in the dungeon be saying I used to hang out in this place? Follow me.
All right, let's see here. Races that live to be 100s of years old mean nothing. This is the Biden TTS guy.
I'm reading it so I can translate it.
Lore accurate Biden there.
Yeah.
Thank you for the $5.
Yeah, I was raised here in this dungeon 700 years ago. This is my childhood house.
Yeah,
I know where the secret room is. My dad built it.
Yeah, elves are a if you're ever gonna do Birthright, treat elves like a very powerful spice in your setting. Because really your players would have no great business going to them. It is in many places kill humans on site.
Got it.
They're enemies. They were, of course, it's like I said, kind of a traditional. They were in the land first, and then all these damn immigrants came in over the wall. Kind of pushed them out into the woods. In fact, the elves actually fought for a time on the bad guys' side in that great battle of Mount Damar. But they flipped when they realized they were being manipulated, and I think it was more they didn't want to be manipulated. So it's not like they had any great love for the humans, but they did help them.
Right.
They changed teams out of spite. Yeah.
But it is a very cool. There's one Awnsheghlien called Robe Manslayer, and he was there at Mount Damar as well. He is dead in my campaign. He died fairly early on, but he could be a potential bad guy. And then just recently we did something with some elves that was kind of very unique, but it was kind of based on things that have happened over time, including one world-changing sort of event, and that was kind of cool for the players to kind of venture deep into the heart of an elven realm.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so the elves, so it sounds, I really like hostile elves because it's very much like English folklore. These are not
right.
The fey creatures are not things you actually want to run into.
You have to play. You have to play it right. You can't make them too manly because then they're gonna great. It's like the old Joe Besser. I'll harm you. They're not gonna buy it. But if you treat them as kind of like sneaky and kind of like evil and always kind of getting the drop on you, there's a little bit more bite there. They're certainly not friendly though. you would have no good reason to be an elf in this setting, traveling around, amongst the humans. You really wouldn't. I mean, you could, but it would be hard to explain.
It would be stupid. This is the thing. Like, there is a certain. We got Liam Shade saying something here. Biden's about to talk.
Tell me when I'll buy you do drinks all night at a bar of your choice. If you start covering maids, you skulk within the next week. I'm ready.
Oh man, Biden is spurging out again. Liam Shades for $5 says, "Tell me where, and I'll buy you 2 drinks." God damn it, Biden, shut up. Buy you guys drinks all night at a bar of your choice. If you start covering Mage the Ascension or Mage the Awakening within the next week, I'm ready. And Broken Blade, who's an excellent content creator.
Elves make great antagonists, stupid elves.
Exactly.
Yeah. Both of us got our physical copies of Storms Over Sternberg, and it's awesome.
And it is awesome.
Art is great. The writing is great. The
book is super high quality.
Yeah.
So Kyle of the Broken Blade has a game called Streets of Peril, which is fantastic. And he ran a Kickstarter in February, and we already have the books delivered. It's awesome.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So he's done this multiple times. So it's really, really good stuff. But Liam, about Mage, I never got into Mage. I tried reading Mage the Awakening a long time ago and stopped.
Yeah.
It was once I got into the magic system, I was like, I'm out. It was a cool vibe.
I'll get to it eventually, because I also never got into Mage the Ascension or Mage the Awakening. But for me, like I always like wizards. That's where I gravitate towards. It's the game that I should have loved the most. But I think there are many things that are.
I think there is a good story to tell about wizards in modern day time, and I guess I don't know how they would kind of cope.
It hasn't been
the
done.
Black
well
Lodge
yet,
Games
though.
treatment might be able to save it. We'll see.
Right, but but for the World of Darkness fans, we do have another vampire video coming next week. I will at some point be starting a series on Vampire the Requiem as well, which is my favorite version of Vampire. So there is more World of Darkness content on the way. But I don't have any experience with Mage, so I can't talk about it. That's the
we only played a little bit of World, I ran maybe a year and a half, just generic World of Darkness. We had a lot of fun with it, but I enjoy hearing your guys' take on it. I liked your kind of like mob, like the Sopranos kind of video. That was a good one.
Thank you.
And that one finally found its audience this last 2 weeks.
2 weeks,
insane.
a lot of people.
Oh, did you get a jump?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The line goes like dun 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 dun, and then just does the hockey stick straight up vertical. I was like, yes.
So satisfying, isn't it? I had a video do that.
Yeah.
I think it was like my favorite art or something in the original Monster Manual. It was doing okay, and then all of a sudden, like 2 weeks in, it's like you said, it's just boom.
Yeah, it was awesome. Which is great because we've been I think that we do make the best World of Darkness content on YouTube. I know that we do. And we've just been like, does nobody like this game? Like, I was like, I thought there were people that would like watch this.
Yeah.
And there are.
They're just the thing is, you guys are probably kind of, you got a lot of different irons on the fire, and you guys know more than anybody how YouTube works. They're trying to find your audience for you.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just an indication that they're coming. Slowly but surely, YouTube is trying to match you guys up. So I think you guys are gonna probably get another one of those periods of huge growth, like a growth spurt probably coming up.
I hope so. I mean, we're going all in on the channel right now, so it's I'm hoping so.
Yeah. Here's a picture I love too. This is another Awnsheghlien called the Kraken.
Yeah,
it's one of those big tower ships.
The game is just some other genuine supernatural drag. Vague is a crime game, what is military action, and Mage is espionage or conspiracy.
BTM is a crime game. Werewolf the Apocalypse is a military action game. I think it's more of like an eco-terrorism game.
It's definitely what they want you to do.
What they want you to do.
It's definitely what fifth edition of Werewolf is, and it sucks.
And it
Although
sucks.
it's god awful, but it is surprisingly, never thought I'd say this, not anywhere nearly as woke as I was convinced. Because it's like the setting is primed to like totally ruin it that way, but
Yeah,
not nearly as much as I thought they would.
I just don't care about werewolf.
Yeah, vampires are
cooler.
Yeah.
That's just all it comes down to.
Who
Vampires are
doesn't
just
want
cooler.
to be Dracula?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, werewolf it's a tough sell. I mean, you can see vampires kind of existing in, kind of nests. But werewolves are singular.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a good question. So I think the answer for Birthright, how do you convince players to play humans, is that's the only option pretty much. How I would do it is, if I was starting a new game, I would just say you can only be a human. I'm not going to convince them, because I don't want a bunch of dragon people and cat people walking around. It's because it's just goofy and it's dumb, because nobody is playing those characters in a way that is different than playing a human. It's just that I have dragon teeth,
there's nice ways to do it too. You can kind of say like, hey guys, look, how out of place would like a cat man be in like Game of Thrones? Think in terms of that. Just say, hey, this is kind of more grounded in a little bit of fictional history,
right?
Just try to separate yourself by what you do, by your family, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then,
you're much nicer than us, though. So I would suggest pick a setting that is humanocentric. That's the way to do it. Because if you do something like Birthright or Harn or anything else like that, you're going to get humans, or even Axe. Axe is very humanocentric, even though there are a bunch of monsters out there. Or
just show them the art. Like, look at what we got here.
I want to play that. There? Yeah, I want to play this.
It's like, look at that dude at the far left. It looks like a young kid who's just scared shitless.
Yeah.
I'll show you also my favorite.
That's a really cool piece. I like that.
Yeah.
I really like how it's like it's a ton of browns and grays, but it doesn't look like garbage.
Yeah.
I can see everything.
Muted, but good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love this picture too, because
it's
like, okay, so it's like human, and then all of a sudden it's like you got this. It's like you got a knight there, you've got a wizard with the pointy hat who does not look ridiculous at all. Right. There's a freaking, an undead skeleton pointing a sword at him. It's like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Elminster, if he were good.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Elminster, if he wasn't a meme.
Yeah.
I hate the Forgotten Realms.
I can't stand them.
That's the worst part about Baldur's Gate 3, is that it was in the Forgotten Realms.
And we never really, it just kind of seemed like such like the generic D&D setting. And we had no interest in playing in that. It's like, it just kind of seemed like kind of a Twinkie sort of game.
Yeah.
It's weird, kind of like Time Averil. That's like the mithril of this setting. What you can use Time Averil for is, 1 second here. Something called blood theft. So you can steal other people's bloodlines. You can do it like in ritual form, but if you have one of these Time Averil weapons, you can use that to like steal completely somebody's bloodline. If you kill them, like stab them through the heart. It's like Highlander shit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's like I'm going to go around. I'm going to make my bloodline as powerful as Darian Avens or something. So you go around trying to find every blooded person you can, challenge them, and just.
Does it work like Highlander? Like, let's say I'm a blooded character and I have one of these weapons and I kill another one. It just adds to my own?
It adds to your bloodline. Yeah, you get more powerful essentially. Yeah, it's crazy. Now, I've never played that setting, but you could go to town with something like that.
So if you sleep with your enemy's wife, do you steal their bloodline that way, or is you just polluting their bloodline?
No, that doesn't quite work like that. Yeah.
Speaking of fear,
I like where your head's
Jim Holloway art, because his adventures look like schmucks and way over their heads.
I always loved Jim Holloway art because his adventurers looked like schmucks in way over their heads.
I'm not familiar off the top of my head. I may have seen some pieces by him, but the name isn't ringing a bell. I'll have to check that out. What was it? Jim Holloway?
Jim Holloway.
Jim Holloway.
You can. By the way, you guys can get rid of this. I will show you something. Oh, here's the war card. That's the comment. We can get into that later. But if you want to go back to the normal, I'll show you one piece of art. But I have to show it my camera.
1 second. How do I get out of this? Can't see it.
Oh wait, there you go.
We go.
I got it.
Good.
All right. So can you see what's going on down at the bottom here at all? It's kind of hard.
Got some dead guys.
Yeah.
This is the Voss source book. These guys are borderline evil, but just look at the look of terror on that one guy who's about to die.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's awesome.
This dude is posing like he's a WWE wrestler.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm about to straight up murder this guy. And that guy is in complete and utter terror.
Yeah.
You will never find something this bloody, this stark on anything they do these days. I mean, that is just so unbelievable, like raw.
I know that. Well, that's the thing is like all of the violence and all of the sex has been completely stripped out of everything.
Mm-hmm. It's worse than the Satanic Panic.
Yeah. It's
big time.
It's so bland. Like this is the thing too. It's like kids like playing these games, and I'm including teenagers in what I'm saying with kids, and boys especially like gore. Gore is awesome. They like adventure and blood and terror, and it's like I think people are hungry for that again. I am.
They are. We talked yesterday about American Pie and what Gen Z thinks about it and how outraged. And I'm like, yeah, that's a couple people. I guarantee you bring out a new version of American Pie right now, it'll kill. People are so starved for something.
Yeah. Any real comedy movie again.
Yep. Anything that just
comedy?
kind of just kind of says it's a big FU to the people that in a different way, but it's very similar in result, are kind of policing our morals.
Oh, totally. I mean, it's a different sort of Puritanism. And it's so fucking annoying. Like, I hate how sanitized everything is. And yet simultaneously so unsanitized in ways too. It's like this just utter reversal of everything. But I think that, and I don't think this, I know this, it's just, you see anytime that like something like Top Gun is made, or I can't remember the show with the guy who played Andy on Parks and Rec, where he's like the military guy on
the Navy SEAL who was getting messed with. It was a great I love that.
People love it instantly, and it's like it's not like you don't have to make like, oh, it's like an anti-woke show. It's like you just have to make a good show.
Just make a show. Like 20 years ago, these just would have been shows. They're just shows.
Make a normal show, and everyone will fucking love it.
Yeah,
like
the bar has never been lower.
Yeah,
which is true.
Yes, yeah, you could. Yeah, I mean, you could literally just step over that bar.
Yeah,
it's so low right now, but
when we do the next thing after the oyster that's connected to the oyster, it's got to be really bloody.
Oh yeah,
like gore.
100%.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Now, you guys, that's a good segue. You guys are going to be on my show to talk a little bit more about the shucked oyster next week.
Yeah,
so
I'm super excited for that. And if it should be in the link in the description, but if you're all out there and you're not signed up for the shucked oyster Kickstarter, that's launching August 6th, and it's going to be fucking awesome. We've had really good playtesting feedback from Spencer and Tora and Lord Mateus, and it's going to be really, really good, guys. It's very funny, but it's very dark, and we've kind of put our hearts and souls into it. So it's
don't listen to these guys. Don't listen to the authors. Listen to me, because they actually gave me an advance copy, and I'm really impressed. I didn't expect anything less, because I really like what you guys do. I think you guys are very professional, and I was like, damn, this is good. That is something you could fit into Birthright. Honestly, you could fit the shucked oyster into Birthright, into the Imperial City or any of the other.
Right.
Yeah, no problem.
And that's the thing, is like, it is it has this like really dark sense of humor, and it's very weird too, is the thing. But you can change things in it so easily. Like, like
if you got different gods or something.
And then we left the
fix.
gods also like just gods of law, gods of chaos. We didn't specify any because we knew we want people to use it in any campaign. But I'm running it in our Adventure Conqueror King group, in the Oran Empire, which is like fantasy Rome, which is the aesthetic is not fantasy Rome. In what do we say here? Hey dudes, hey Thraxis, how's it going, man?
Hey, what's
Good to
happening,
see you.
man?
Thank you for the 199.
Thank you, sir.
But yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I'm pretty proud of the dungeons we made as well, because we're known as the guys who hate dungeons, which is true.
They're good. Yeah, no, they're good.
But they're really fun.
Yep.
And it's been a ton of fun playtesting it as well. So
it's a good choice for Shadow Dark too. It's a good system to hang your hat on if you guys aren't like hardcore OSR or D&D players. It's kind of a good one to kind of throw out there.
It is like Shadow Dark's it's a very light system, but it has everything it needs. And like the thing that like, because I misjudged that game when it first came out, like I got the PDF because I backed it because I was like, holy shit, this art looks amazing, and it is. But the game, she took a lot of like ideas from D&D that are kind of complicated and really boiled them down to like these really simple tables that are really useful. Like
yes,
really,
they are
really good. So it's
an excellently laid out book.
Oh yeah, like just everything about it. Like the game is way stronger than I initially thought, and we just we got the idea for the shucked oyster when we made a video about Shadow Dark.
Yeah, comparing it to OSC.
Yeah, which we didn't end up doing. We didn't actually end up.
I remember that video. It was hilarious. Yeah, it was like 5 minutes. You're just like, I don't know what it has to do with anything, but
yeah, exactly. It's like we couldn't get the idea out of our head, and so we're like, let's just make this for Shadow Dark. But it's easy to plug into anything that's remotely OSR, or you probably even put it in 5e. I don't know. I haven't played 5e. But I'm already
it's a cousin. The game's a cousin of 5e, so yeah, you could certainly make it work.
Yeah, but it's but I don't want to talk about this too much right now because we're
we'll save some for next week.
Yeah, we'll save some for next time. But it's dominating our every waking moment and thought right now. So
this is a question I have. Yeah. It's a pertinent question for me because everything I've seen about it, I've heard you talk about it. I've seen a couple of videos online about Birthright. It's still not in print, right? So if you wanted to start playing it, or if you were curious about getting it, is there any way to do that other than finding it on eBay or used on Amazon?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you want a print copy, you got to go hunting.
Got it. Okay.
Look, there's probably a lot of friends you don't know yet online who will loan you their copy of their PDF of the entire setting.
Yeah.
If you just look around and try to make these friends, it's pretty easy to find these kinds of friends. So that would be a very easy way to just kind of like, hey, look, what is this setting all about? And kind of like I'll bet you they have even like the 3 core books out there. And after that, you can kind of hunt on eBay, some of the dome or some of the Kingdom source books, you'll find every so often. It is unfortunate that you can't really find this anymore. I really wish I'd have picked up here. I'll show you my camera, all the shit I have here.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that it's not available on print on demand because they have all of the other setting box sets that have been compiled into, like I had bought the Planescape first edition setting. Oh wow, that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like,
oh man,
that's stuff.
Holy
everywhere.
Shit.
That's so fucking cool. Yeah, I love the art for this setting.
I'm so glad I got most everything. And honestly, what I didn't get, my buddy Rogan was able to get.
Yeah.
Nice. We had this game store with this notoriously terrible owner, and he had this like box forever. And this is back when these things weren't selling. So my buddy Rogan would always wait, like, is he going to mark it down anymore? Is he going to mark it down?
Yeah.
Finally, one time he went in and the guy must have wised up because he like looked on eBay and started to see what some of this stuff was selling for.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to charge you full price for that. And Rogan's like, what the hell are you talking about? It's not a print. And he's like, oh, that's what it's going for on eBay. So he's like, all right.
I waited too long for the deal.
Yeah. There's a lot of, I think of all the times I went to like the local bookstore, game shop, and just passed through all all these things because I was like, that's old. I'll never want that again, you know. And it's like,
yeah, I know. I got man, I kind of had to just because of space. I didn't have any space in my bags when I moved to New York many years ago. But that's I handed off all of my new World of Darkness, Vampire the Requiem books, and I had a bunch of them. I gave them to a friend, and hopefully he still has them. But it was sad. I knew I was like, I'll probably want these again someday. And lo and behold, I am slowly reacquiring them. You know,
I have some Requiem stuff too. We never played it, but I was like kind of like fascinated with it. That's when we did like the generic World of Darkness. And I'm like, is this going to lead to something? I'm like, I better so I think I have like a Camarilla book or something, and like the regular book and all that stuff. It's very well done. It's very well done books.
Yeah, it's well done, and it's a game that it did. The first edition core book that came out was a little bland. It had some problems. Like I understand why people were disappointed, but it is a game that was not given a proper chance by people. Unfortunately, because it was really, really good.
And I never compared it to the Masquerade because I never played it back then. So that was like my first introduction. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. You know?
It's so much more interesting than Masquerade because they didn't answer every fucking possible question that the fans ever had. Like, there's no stone left unturned in Masquerade. Different now with the 5th edition, but there was just so much dark mystery that you could do in Requiem that you really can't in Masquerade, which is unfortunate. But the good thing is now that Vampire 5th edition is out, and I don't know who owns the property now though, but they put the kibosh on any more Vampire the Requiem stuff coming out, which means it can't be ruined, which is wonderful.
It is like the when they find out you can't touch your beloved property, it's like
thank God.
Might also be why Birthright is still good.
That's true.
You know.
Oh yeah, you don't want. I definitely
would not want Wizards to touch anything.
Birthright.
No. Look what they did with Planescape. It's just they're just cheap cash
and
grabs
with Dragonlance too. Dragonlance is my favorite D&D setting. And when I heard they were going to re-release it, oh, here we go. Like, and lo and behold,
it's like footprints at the shoreline. It came and went and washed away, and it's like it's nobody out cares. Of any sort of consciousness.
You can't
just like
a system that already sucked. TBF.
Thank you, Matthew Pickard, for the 2 Canadian smackaroos there. And you're right. Yeah, you can't ruin something that already sucked. But yeah, it's like whenever they bring anything back from WotC, it's like you've seen Pet Cemetery, I assume. It's like they buried it, back there, and it's come back and it's hostile and just evil.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's just look, there's I'm not saying this for effect, but it's almost like people are tired of hearing it, but they don't have the talent there to do that. Where is the Rich Baker? Where's even the Mike Merles? The folks like that are gone. There was nobody there. They honestly have a bunch of autistic, a bunch of retards.
But they
doing their games.
Everyone though is the thing too.
Yes,
right. Everyone that's involved in this new edition is already gone.
Yeah. so what little talent there was is now gone. So it's like the cupboards are bare.
Yeah,
and they would never hire people. They probably couldn't afford the good ones. And
here's the thing: is they could afford them. They would not be allowed. Even if they did hire them, it wouldn't matter because the Byzantine corporate structure is such that anything now and anything going forward must be designed by committee, like every other gigantic corporation.
It's not a conspiracy theory. They run everything they do through a diversity consultants now. They'll openly admit it. Well, so
I know, but
who's got the final say on this?
It's like if you've seen, and someone mentioned in here that that Birthright was excluded from the Eye of the Beholder art documentary that was made by WotC, which is actually really good. I enjoyed it very much because it goes through all the art. They spent the most time on the best period of art, and then they're like, then 4th edition and 5th edition happened, and nobody really cares about that.
My wife was watching that a couple weeks ago, and I caught the tail end of it. And I did see where they did it actually came in at the worst part because it was the 4th and 5th.
Yeah,
edition.
they're just like sweeping it under the rug. Like, okay, we got to wrap up the movie. We're at it. Yeah,
I actually have a piece of that in my intro now because one of the artists said they were talking about how they didn't want to. They were told by Wizards of the Coast for 5th edition not to draw any more white dudes like that. Like, oh, let's go and read in my intro.
Oh
like,
my
so yeah,
God.
so it's in there now.
Oh,
I actually
man.
clipped that. Yeah.
But the interesting thing about that though is they have all these interviews with people who worked at TSR in the early days, and it's the way they described it is like it's basically totally unstructured. Like, as long as your work gets done, like you're assigned certain things, or you say I want to take this project or whatever, that you had basically free reign to just come and go as you please, do work whatever hours you wanted. People are playing the game in the office, and ultimately that probably caused some problems for them. But at the same time, it's like that is the environment where this creativity is coming from. And this is not something that when a corporation comes in and buys it, that can ever happen there. You're working in a fucking open office or a cubicle farm, or now like a work from home thing where it's just like that creative fire does not exist in that place. It's not possible.
It's either the antithesis of that in corporate America, because I do work in corporate America. It's the complete antithesis of that, or even worse, they'll try to recreate that by having a room like, oh, this is where our marketing department is, and they'll have like some beanbag chairs there, and like a Nintendo Switch or something, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I know who these people are. Yeah. You know, they're the most uncreative people, you know, in the world. Yeah. That was the old way of doing business, where it's like they knew like these are creative people. You got to give them a little leeway, you know, as long as they can meet some deadlines, you know, we'll put up with it.
Right. Exactly. And you just can't have that, but I mean, that's also why it's like you have all of these incredible indie creators.
Like playtesting your game helps it.
It's almost like playtesting your game helps. That's true.
Shocking.
I know. But it is God damn it. Your joke, you threw me off, man. The train of thought's gone. It's left.
Corporate America.
Corporate America sucks. That was where I was going with that, basically.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
Yep.
You just can't, you just can't have creativity in an environment like that. And this is what I was saying, is that you've got all these incredible indie creators though that are making these really creative things, and they're doing it on their own. They don't even have the resources that the TSR has or anything, but it's that's where the interesting stuff is happening now.
In a way it kind of just migrated there.
Has been.
It just kind of moved over there, all that good stuff.
It's literally the only place where it can exist,
right?
So it obviously will happen. It will, manifest there.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like, can you imagine? Because we had dinner and hung out with our friend Spencer yesterday, and he was talking like, can you imagine, if Gygax had Kickstarter in the 70s? Like, the things that they could have done. The amount of cocaine he could have done.
Unimaginable.
Yeah, it's incredible. So if you're a creative person out there, don't wait. Start working on your stuff. Find a way to get it in front of people and sell it, because that's what everyone wants, is good stuff. And
if you have a good idea, you deserve to make money off of it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I agree with that. You don't deserve to make money off of it. If you can sell it to people, you deserve to make money.
So what I'm saying, like, we were having this discussion yesterday as well with regard to like marketing.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it could be the best thing in the world, and I may never have heard about it. You've only shared it with two other people.
Yeah.
Like, okay, but if you had a good idea and you think it's a good idea, it was worth you putting time and effort into it,
and probably your own money into it,
you should want to make money off of
it. And you should. And this is the other thing too, is that like, if you want to make games, you want to do cool stuff, start a YouTube channel. That is the path to getting it in front of people.
It is.
Right.
Like, you got to build a fan base of your own. People who like you, they want to support you.
Right.
And they're not going to put up with like garbage, but so you got to actually put some thought into it.
You got to make something. Sure. You have to make something that they want to buy. But but it really is. It's like because we were talking about YouTube earlier on, it's like it is trying to find an audience for you. Like it's trying very hard to do that. And if you make something cool, people will find it. Like so you got to get on. If any of you are thinking about making a YouTube channel, stop thinking about it and just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
You know what? Put work in it. Put work in it like these guys do. Because I see some YouTubers out there, and it's like, man, all right. So you started the channel. I give you a lot of credit, but it's like you got to prepare. You got to prepare. You have to put some effort in, and it's like a lot of people they don't even want to learn basic editing skills, and it's like,
I know,
dude, I use Shotcut to this day. It's entirely free. There's no reason you can't learn Shotcut. There's no reason you can't do a live stream and do some preparation and have some bullet points ready, some videos ready to go. I want to talk about this. Of course you can have guests on. Yeah. But man, they're there to hear you too, so it's like they want to hear what you have to say.
And this is Malachi says, but what if you have a face for radio and a voice for print? Well, here's the thing. What you're still going to be in a better situation than not
doing anything.
Doing it. Yeah. Because if you're not doing anything, you're not putting yourself out in any other way, then your shit's still not going to get seen by people. So you kind of have to do it.
You have to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always going to be a reason not to do it. There's going to be an infinite number of reasons not to do it.
Right.
Just own up to it. Like he's referring to Joker, a big YouTuber, and it's like because that's his tagline.
Oh.
It's like he just owns up to it. He's a middle-aged guy, kind of like us, and it's like just lean into it. Who cares? You know what I mean? You don't have to look like a slob, but you don't have to be Brad Pitt either. Have something interesting to say, and present it in an interesting way, and people will find you eventually.
Right.
It takes a little while.
Patty's Parlor here in the chat saying Black Lodge Games is paying me for my shucked oyster girls. That is true. Patty's
Is he doing the art?
He's doing some art for us.
He's good to hear. Patty's a good dude.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I love Patty. Yeah, he's a good dude.
Patty's awesome. Yeah. And he's we've gotten to see a couple of the
line art for one of the ladies is awesome.
Yeah.
Way better than
I know. Yeah. It was like
I got that placeholder art in mind, so I'm looking forward to the final.
Yeah. It was like the first one he sent us. We were just like, holy shit, that's way better than anything we thought of. Which is always the case because we're not artists.
Yeah.
And Buckquack says, have you seen, no. This is Malachi saying to the Van and Buckquack, have you seen Seth Skorkowski's video on the creation of the Beholder?
I haven't.
I have not.
Not either.
Sounds like there's an interesting story there.
Yeah, but
it's being a little overdone. It's being I still like it as a villain, but man, Wizards of the Coast putting it on
everything. I know.
Everything, including 2 editions in a row on one of the covers.
Did you remember that we own this?
Yeah.
Remember,
you can't
laying their claim. Yeah. Maybe they had to legally, but it's derivative. Like, man, come on. Like,
they've got Beholder plushies and things like now.
Lifestyle brand stuff.
What's Malachi saying? He's saying send me a link.
Your childhood stuff will be ruined.
Okay, a blog is good. That is a good start. Yeah. But you should also make some YouTube videos because that'll drive traffic to your blog.
And you could people in other spaces do this. We've talked about this before. We haven't done it yet.
We've done it with other people's blogs.
But do like if you have like a backlog of like Substack or WordPress or blog content, you can
did a lot of coke and got carried away.
Yeah.
Like many people.
Yeah.
But you can do live stream video essays.
Right.
Yeah.
Just
read your blog, talk to the chat.
Yeah, read your blog, your article, whatever it is, and people can super chat in questions, or if they want to make an additional point, you can have a conversation and you can get your ideas out there and you can get yourself out there.
This is the new medium. The YouTube channels are the new blog thing of the early 2000s and that.
Right.
I mean, it just is. This is the new medium, like it or not.
Buckquack here is our top guy, and he says beholders consume copious amounts of cocaine and alpha male pills, which is how they maintain such a high degree of intellectual capacity. That's true. They got that
Very
alpha
true.
brain and super male vitality.
Yeah, that's the cheap.
Keeps
lore.
those eye stalks nice and straight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I do like beholders, though. They are a cool
They're
monster.
a cool monster.
They
and
are.
Their psychology is cool.
Their psychology is cool, but I hate when it's like people are like, there's just a beholder in this room. I'm
Double
like,
D
why?
experience do find that Birthright's focus on the players being rulers, nobles, and people of renown encourages more of a focus on role playing and social interaction while playing.
Wandering Mage, thank you for the $10.
Thank
Double
you,
D,
man.
in your experience,
Yeah.
do you find the Birthright focuses on the players being rulers, nobles, and people of renown encourages more of a focus on role play and social interaction while
Yeah.
playing?
It sounds like it definitely did
Yeah.
with your group.
It definitely. And I guess mine after that initial campaign, it would be more like people of renown.
Mhm.
So after a certain time, my players always kind of were close to the center of power.
Yeah.
Where they had through previous characters or NPCs, they knew people who could hey, I can go to get in and see the emperor and all that. So it was kind of a way to kind of keep them involved. And yes, you're absolutely right. You're dealing with some high profile people in the realm, or the people around them. It's just a glorious population to choose from as far as like role playing opportunities and what's intrigue and shit like that. That you can kind of come up like, ooh, I bet this person's doing this. This person hates this person, but yeah, it's a great question, and I think it's bang on. It does sort of give you that, and you know what? It's another failing of the original setting. They didn't emphasize enough that you could just play this without all that stuff. With what you have, this can be
Right.
a perfect setting. You don't need
Right.
to rule around.
I've always wanted to either run a game where this is the premise or play a character who is either starting, taking over, or involved in like a medieval guild, like an artisans
Yes.
guild. That's always been, that's like a white whale sort of concept.
It's built
For me-
into Birthright. If I can interject quickly,
Yes,
being
please.
blooded doesn't mean you strictly run realms. You can be blooded and run a church in like the church, or if you're a powerful wizard, you can claim like they're called the sources, the ley lines, if you will,
Okay.
of the land. There's also blooded guild members who control the guild holdings. So I just wanted to let you know, like Birthright is also set up along those lines as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So-
It also sounds like it would be perfect, a perfect fit. And I don't know, I can't remember if Macrease said that he took some inspiration from Birthright for
I think he
Adventure
did.
Conquer
I had
King.
him on, and I kind of asked him, and he said he did really like Birthright. So I'd be
Okay,
surprised if
okay.
he didn't at least take a little inspiration from it. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it would be very simple, I think, to convert the setting of Birthright into an Adventure Conquer King
Easily.
campaign. Yeah, because you can.
If I can do it for 4th edition, you guys,
Yeah.
Axe is like it's so easy. It's like a hand in glove, pretty much.
Yeah.
Probably
But
as
if you
close as you'll ever get to the original 2nd edition. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to do the domain stuff, Axe, in my opinion, now is like there's just nothing that even comes close to it. It's crazy, and we're just starting to interact with those rules more. Unfortunately, and
I'm gonna wait till the actual books come out. My plate is so full. I'm like, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna spoil. I'm just gonna wait till those glorious books come.
Good problem to have, but it is a big problem.
Yeah, it's but it's man. It's just got everything in it. It's awesome. It's really absurd. Like they really do have a rule for everything.
He's such a smart dude. Almost scary smart.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like he's like I can't.
Incredibly intelligent, but just as personable.
Oh yeah. There's no
nice.
there's no ego there that you can sense, at least publicly.
Yeah, and like he's also great too. I saw him on, I think it was T-shirted Historian stream the other night, and someone was talking to him about the people who are making like the poplar wood slipcase, and asked like, "Oh, how'd you find these people?" Because like it seems like they're kind of a small shop, and they're not really doing like a lot of stuff at like this massive scale or whatever. And he's like, "Yeah, it was someone at my in my community my Axe community, who said we do this, and said he kind of pitched the idea for the popular slipcase, and he was like, so I just decided to go with them because I've had a bunch of people over the course of my career. I'll give them an idea or pitch them something, and then they take that idea to some other person, and he's like, and I never want to do that to someone. It was just like really, really great. Great guy, very much values his community, very much values his customers, and just makes awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Like I love Axe. It's a really, really cool system. So
I was so happy his success on that Kickstarter.
Oh yeah, so well
I
deserved.
think everybody was. I know.
Yeah,
I talked with Greg Gillespie, who did Dragon Slayer, which is basically like a first edition BX, kind of a throwback. But he even said he was talking, with Alex and like really like offering support and congratulations. So it was really nice to see, a couple of very smart guys just kind of coming together.
Right.
Yeah. And I was just floored by how much he made. I'm like, holy shit, man. This thing is like a juggernaut.
Oh, I know. It's awesome. That's super well deserved. And again, this is another thing where it's like the price of these fucking new D&D books is like insane. And it's like you get twice the amount of, first of all, twice the page count out of Axe that you're going to be getting out of whatever D&D is now. Maybe that's not twice, because it's probably about 900 pages, at least 50% more. But it's the percentage more that it's useful content.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Off the charts. Even if you don't use the setting, you can find probably a ton of stuff. I'm willing to bet in Axe that you can just port over or use.
But the thing that's like been mind blowing to me is just reading through the judge's journal, and it's the like one of
the underlying philosophy, like the gaming
good.
Philosophy and role play philosophy stuff. It's like this is applicable anywhere, in any game, any genre,
any setting. And his guide for creating a setting, and in particular, it's geared towards making something that's going to be compatible with Axe. But it's like you like anyone who wants to make a setting or make a game would be crazy not to own these books, because they're so fucking useful, and there's so much good wisdom in there. And this is it. It's one of those things. I don't know. Like this is just the Axe sales hour now. But something I really do love about it is that like it's like the Brosar guys will say like all you need to play like is the AD&D, the 3 books. You need Player's Handbook, DMG, Monster Manual, and you're set for life. You don't need to buy all this extra shit. Axe takes that to like an entirely new level, though, because he's exposed the algorithms for how to make monsters and make classes and make spells. So you can literally, if you have that setting that's been kicking around in your mind forever, you can make it, and you can rely on the systems in this game and know that what you're making is not going to be an utterly broken mess.
When he's followed through with other like world incentives, like the economics thing is the big one.
Yeah.
It's like every world has an economy.
Right.
Even
and
if
restrictions on resources and scarcity, and things take time, and all of this stuff. So it's, I don't know. It's just,
I equate it to, I don't know how into like sports you are, but I don't know if you remember the old San Francisco 49ers coach, Bill Walsh, from back in the day. He was he won 3 Super Bowls with the 49ers, just legendary coach. But he wrote a book while he was coaching, like The Art of Coaching or something like that. And it was like so thick, and it was kind of like the Axe of like the sporting world. It didn't do well at all because nobody knew, who's going to buy this book. Well, it turns out like years later, it's like what happened was when he retired from coaching, all these like new coaches, because he was so successful in the NFL, wanted to know, and everybody's like, oh, he wrote all that down in this book. This is of course before the internet and all that stuff. So then you had this run on this like book that had a really paltry like print run. So all these NFL coaches are trying to find a copy of this legendary book about, how to coach like Bill Walsh. So it kind of reminds me of the whole Axe thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hoping that this, though, that it really takes off after this as well. So, cause we're going to make videos about Axe later in the year, alongside the D&D releases, to try and offer the alternative. But it's it's a game that I think people are going to be referencing for game design for like generations after this. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, if they'll, of course, he always has that the old political stuff that a certain percentage are gonna like keep nagging him over.
As an axe, I describe a magic spell curve that goes all the way up to real magic, like in Birthright.
Did the algorithms in Acts 2 describe a magic spell curve that goes all the way up to the realm magic, like in Birthright? So I'll let you speak to realm magic in just a moment. You do have an Acts like 9th, 10th, 11th level spells, or it's probably like 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th level spells that are considered ritual magic that are just insanely powerful. It's the type of thing where you have apotheosis, you can become a god, but also on a realm level you can do something called like a cataclysm, which is you cast this ritual spell and it has to be on a domain of a different alignment than yours, and your gods will rain down a cataclysm on them like a month later. And so there's all these signs and portents that have the rivers turn red with blood, and like meteors are flying across the sky that like warning people that that the cataclysm's coming. And then there's rules for actually calculating all the horrific damage that happens, but there's absolutely massively powerful realm affecting magic in Axe. It's just very hard,
very similar to Birthright. The realm spells in Birthright are also ritualistic. They're not meant to be cast just hey, harmony, like willy-nilly. This I talked about like the ley lines of magic, the powerful wizards. Like in this game you can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to roll up like a wizard. You have to be blooded to be a wizard in this game. You have to be of the blood, I think, is the rule. So yeah, you do cast these really powerful realm spells like Death Plague. I'm looking at some of them now. Demagogue, where you can affect how people think about the realm and its ruler. Legion of the Dead, like you can literally make you can make the dead rise up and fight for you.
Yeah,
which dovetails into like the whole war card system. Which was just
you want to show
how
us
does that work?
Yeah. I would like to see how this works.
Hold on one second.
Sure. Let's see what the chat's saying. Hey, Harmony, good to see you. Hey, Crispy, good to see you, man.
It's happening, man.
Discord has entered the chat. Yeah. I need to buy Axe 2, apparently. Yeah, it's really good, man.
Indeed.
It's worth every penny.
And you can still get it on BackerKit, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so, correct? Yeah. Through BackerKit or through contact Archon over Twitter, and I think you can still get either it's like the $50 PDF, or you can get like the 3 books for more, which I don't remember how much it is. But he will be transitioning to some sort of a actual pre-order model as he gets closer to the release of the books, which I believe is now projected to be in March. Because they just underestimated how much art was going to be necessary for 1,500 pages of rules. Anyway, here we go. We got some war cards on screen.
Yeah, so these like you collected like with every, like in the original box set you got some, and then like with every like region there was like 4 region books or supplements, I guess, that they sold, and you would get more and more of these war cards from the soldiers that were here. So you can see here they have like generic ones.
Infantryman that looks like some sort of cleric, or is that a catapult?
Yes.
Yeah, some siege artillery. So do these represent individual units, individual people, or are these
about
like
200 people,
battalions?
About 200 people. But like you can tell, these are kind of like the bad guys.
Yeah.
You would play it on this. If I were to unfurl this, there'd be I think like nine or maybe like 12. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 12 spaces. So it ended up being just a very simple war game. There's some rudimentary stats on here. if you can see that, you know,
Yeah, we
you get a
see that.
movement, defense, and attack. The only thing I didn't like about this is instead of rolling dice for the effect of when you engage in combat with another unit, you pulled these odd little cards where you compared symbols. Like, I don't know what they were doing. You can easily, and I made a video on that war card system. You can kind of easily do your own kind of like dice result based on the curve. But it's a really cool way to simulate these big realm battles. Like, okay, I'm a ruler. On our border is this army of, whoever, either our neighbor or, maybe it is the Orogs or something like that coming in from the north. Oh, okay. Well, it's a couple thousand people. You can easily do that. Get 5 war cards out. You take turns moving. When you're in the same space, you pretty much engage with each other. You can do it with it. You can probably do a big battle in an hour and a half, maybe. And the good thing is you have a little card that's called adventurers. So if you want to be an adventurer in the middle of this battle, our group is attached to this unit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as adventurers, because you are the heroes, you give that unit a bonus in the war card system, but you can also kind of freeze combat. Maybe for one round of the war card system, you can do then maybe 5 rounds of regular combat, where you set up like based on what's going on. Like, okay, there's 20 orcs or orogs over here. Here you have some allies over here. You guys are engaged here. Do a little, scenery or terrain, and just run a little combat within the combat. I've done that a couple of times over the years here, and it really is effective. Can't do it all the time because it is a production. You have to understand this is a production, and you have to kind of get out your table. Like, can you guys envision this? Here's the battlefield that you're looking at. This is what this simulates. There's a couple hundred, pikes here. There's just regular swordsmen here. And here's the king of the northern Orogs. His army here. Yeah, and they're ready to come at you with fury in their eyes.
So, what effect? Let's say we're playing a game and the party wants to advance, right before the clash of the mass combat clash between this platoon and the opposing platoon. And because you can wipe everybody out in a standard sort of D&D combat. Let's say we do that. We wipe the floor. Those 20 orcs, now there's 0 orcs. We're all left still standing. Now we take it back to the mass combat level. What would the effect of that victory have?
All right, so if you've won the field, the battle's over. But if there's other units they can go fight with, you can say as the DM, like, okay, you see over here, there's heated combat over to your right. Also, behind you or to your left. You can move that little adventurer card to attach to another unit. You can add your bonus there, and then go right into it if you want. Or you can just say like, all right, you guys, if you're good with combat and you've won your area of the battlefield, we can just say you're either stabbing the people that are groaning for mercy or whatever, while the rest of the battle is fought over there. Kind of up to the DM, using their discretion, and it's also how much do the players want to be involved?
Right.
Combat is deadly, so in some of the older versions of the game, as a player, you might not want to engage in combat if you don't have to. Combat is deadly, as I guess it should be.
As it should be.
But, this is also a realm or a setting that's somewhat heroic. So maybe get a little bit goosed up a little bit, it's not quite as deadly as like a BX game. So
as those early levels.
Yeah. And is there like a army morale system?
There is.
So you're usually not killing everybody in a battle.
Maybe you're not.
You check. It's an easy way to check morale. It's based on the little symbols that are on the card. You compare, and again, I think you draw these odd little index cards that where you cross index the symbols, and then you can
is that the That sounds like a sort of like reverse slot machine kind of thing.
A little. Let me show you. This is kind of what they look like. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's just kind of weird because they have these odd little symbols over on this side.
Parallelogram.
Yeah, so you're like comparing, my unit is a flag and the unit in front of me is a shield. So I need to go on this line. What are the odds? How much of an advantage do I have? And it's like it's just so weird. I'll be the first to admit. I see what they were trying to do. They were trying to do something a little bit different in the same respect. I'm always a let the dice fly high kind of guy.
Yeah.
So
it looks really cool.
easy.
It does look really cool.
The setting especially is hugely interesting.
Yeah.
So if you look back in my backlog, I think maybe several months back, I did a little video on this where I kind of like showed how it worked. So if you're interested in it, or anybody in the audience,
I did watch that.
Take a look. It just kind of shows a real simple combat. Real basic.
Yeah, because this is I have kind of come to the idea now that if a fantasy game being produced now doesn't have a mass combat system, I'm not really that interested. It does depend on what the game is doing, but if you're gonna present, it's more that if you're gonna present me a setting where there's these big factions and kingdoms and you have army and armies in your art and things like that, it's like I want to do that. But I want to be able to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think it's wrong of you to want that. I guess like Castles and Crusades has their own. I don't know if it's still in production.
I love Castles and Crusades.
It's a good solid system. I call it kind of like the missing link between second and third edition because it does have like the same base mechanic as third edition. So you're kind of rolling against a target. But other than that, it's kind of really pared down, and it does have kind of a second edition feel. So it's a great little system, and they have their own version of this. I think it's a little inferior to the war card system, but look, you're not going to be able to find all this stuff. Like you may be able to find, there's certainly find PDFs of the books. You're not going to be able to find all these cards. Yeah. So it's one of those things like you either have to make your own, which is possible. I mean, look, it's just index cards, and all you really need are the stats, and you actually can find PDFs of these units. So I suppose theoretically you could print them out, print them out and cut them, but that's going to cost a fortune. But you can just kind of jot down like, oh, this unit has these stats, this signifies this. You can write it out real quick on index cards if you wanted to. So.
Right.
Yeah, the mass combat thing, you've pushed me sort of even further in like my interest in it. Like the more you talk about it, the more it's not that I'm coming around to it, but like I'm more interested in it. Because when I got started in the hobby, I knew that there were these older games that had a section carved out or somehow to focus on mass combat, and everything I'd heard or read sounded like work and sounded complicated, or on the reverse end sounded so abstracted out that like, okay, well, how am I role playing? But you're right. It's such a crucial part of any kind of a medieval or a Renaissance. And if you're trying to simulate like a world with cultures and peoples and civilization, this is a crucial part of that. Always has been, always will be. Certainly
it's just a matter of you have to mediate it for the players, though, because you can easily kind of, in a way, kind of get up your own ass about it as a DM and think it's the greatest thing ever. But some of your players might be, man, this is boring. This is like, I'm just watching a bunch of cards moving around. I'm not getting into it. So you do have to kind of always be like, all right, guys, so this is what's going on. This here, what we just saw, witness as you look around, but you really do have to kind of put in some effort. It really does take a little bit of DMing to pull off.
Yeah. And I'm interested more in, like, we were looking at, obviously we have Axe, we were looking at the Mithras sort of source book for that does this. I've been looking at some Harn stuff recently.
good stuff. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Have you ever checked out Mithras or
not Mithras, but Harn? I had a player who was huge
Okay.
into Harn at one time, so he like loaned me the books, and I kind of liked it. It did remind me, a little bit of Birthright. And
right?
Yeah.
that, yes.
Yeah, it's Harn seems really, really interesting because we've been watching this guy
Me,
a lot.
myself, and Die.
Yeah, Me, Myself, and Die, who does a lot of solo gaming, and this is kind of cool. He's coming on our podcast next week.
Yep.
Because he's apparently in Texas, which is I did not know. But
Oh wow!
But he's
Like in person.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're pretty excited about that. But he has a lot of videos on Harn, and they're really good. And he makes it sound really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
The things he's talking about, I'm like, all right, this guy gets it.
yeah,
This
he
guy's
totally
like,
gets it. Yeah.
this is all the stuff that I would be interested in if I was reading those books.
But we were looking at the a lot of Mithras right now because it's an awesome game. And I cannot wait to play it. But they have a really small supplement. It's like 35 pages, I think, called Sails and Shield Walls, and there's not very much art in it. It's just the rules, basically, for handling naval combat and things like that, and then doing like combat between armies. And this is like a sword and sandals sort of thing, and it is so good. Like I can't wait to try this. But Mithras uses this thing where it's opposed rolls in normal combat, and then depending on where the percentages hit, you have different special effects that you can apply in combat. Like if like you have a spear and I have a sword, and the way the rolls work out, I get like a degree of success on you. I can now do a maneuver to close the distance between us, and so now you're going to be at a disadvantage. But they applied that to the mass combat system as well. So it's like you both make attack rolls. Basically, it's very simple. The armies clash, and there's potentially casualties from this. But depending on how much better my role is versus your role, I now have access to these maneuvers that I can do, like battlefield maneuvers, but they're just handled the same way as the base combat system of the special effects. So if you can wrap your head around how the combat system works, then you know exactly how the mass combat system works. And
I love when games do that stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, I love when they kind of have the same synergy with their own like individual combat to the bigger. It's a great way to
just scaling up the same mechanic.
Right.
I'll say this: I don't like Matt Colville, very much as like a YouTuber and all that. But I think that's kind of the way I think he did. I did buy one thing of his, and it was that Strongholds book of his.
I know which one you're talking about. The name is not coming to me, but I am familiar with.
Yeah, Strongholds and Followers, maybe or something. And I remember years ago I was looking at it, and I'm like, oh, he's doing a mass combat system here, and it's kind of the way. From what I remember, it's kind of that way too. It kind of capitalized, I think, on the 5th edition combat system, kind of like essentially like kind of dumbed it down for mass combat. And I was like, that's kind of an interesting way to do it,
Yeah. Which I mean, I think is the right way to do it. If you don't. I mean, some people want very different systems for and subsystems for everything, but I don't. I really don't.
Well, me and a couple of my players, we're war gamers, so cards like with stats on it, that doesn't bother us. But look, a casual gamer, their eyes may glaze over and like, what am I doing? In all this, you always gotta kind of cater a little bit to that. You do need some buy-in and just say, hey, you just kind of use your imagination here, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Yeah, because that's and Space Roadie makes a good point here. Mithras not only tells you what happens when you get impaled, it tells you how many hit points it does when they pull the spear out.
And not only that, it specifies that any skill challenge that involves that hit location is at a tremendous penalty.
Yeah.
I forget what it is.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Rollmaster, like Arms Law and Claw Law, like an old game that had like some legendary charts for critical hits.
Yeah, and I gotta say, Space Roadie has he sent us 2 scenarios, and the names are escaping me. One was a horror scenario for BRP, and another BRP one that he's just released. So look him up on Twitter, or if you're in like Guildeds or Discords with him, contact him because he's got this really fucking cool. I think it's like a space western BRP scenario.
Right.
Yeah, which we're going to be looking at. So thank you for sending that to us.
Yeah,
or at least sending me the link. I did. I went and paid what I wanted on Drive-Thru RPG, which was not $0, by the way. But I got his new scenario. So always try to bump people's work up that are in the chat.
Yes.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's let me see here. Bacon Gaming saying MCDM got far enough along to develop mass combat. No. He's referring to a
no. This is when Matt was doing
they
5th
haven't
edition
and they
stuff.
won't.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't even decide what fucking dice they want for this game. Are you kidding me?
I might have to eat my words. I was pretty bullish on the prediction that he would deliver, but would probably deliver late, and it would be just an overly designed product that doesn't appeal to anybody. May still happen. But after chatting with Spencer and getting some information from other not like secret information, but I don't know if it's Patreon discussions or just videos he's done. I don't think I'm subscribed to Matt Colville's channel. He might blow all his money before.
Yeah.
We just covered it. I think a couple weeks ago in the lair. Yeah, I mean they've hired new people. But it's like they're back to square one. Instead of 2x6, they're using 2x10. They're still figuring out. It's essentially now just an Apocalypse World clone.
Which is what everybody is doing now.
Yeah, it's so boring.
Apocalypse World is the biggest cope for uncreative people.
It is. It's a way to just kind of jam. Like, I have this great idea, and I don't want to do any work.
I don't want to do anything. So here's a system that quote unquote lets me do no work.
Yes. Right. It's for the laziest people, the laziest creators out there.
Well, we came here for the big dog. Love it.
Always, yeah.
Chat hates MCDM.
Oh, I mean, I get some of the best hate mail.
Fall short of doing some new mass combat and do well Birthright, but what's the remedy for one?
Okay, hold on. Bruce Maximus says for $5. Thank you very much.
Dueling.
The other end. I found nigh all TTRPGs fall short when dueling some mass combat and do it well, Birthright. But what's the remedy for 1v1? I would say check out Mithras. Dueling, I mean, the one-on-one combat in Mithras is really detailed. It's very tactical, gives you lots of options, but it's very simple.
And because of the special effects, you can add additional. I don't even want to call them flourishes because that's too light a touch for what they are, but. Yeah, Mithras combat is great.
It's
and
fucking
simple.
Awesome. Yeah.
And the book is small for what all the shit that's in it.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So shucked oyster for Apocalypse World when? Probably never. After our first Powered by the Apocalypse system, which of course is Dr. Quinn.
Yes.
Which
still on schedule.
Still on schedule for 2052.
I've been waiting for that one.
Yeah,
I've been waiting for that one. I'm a huge Jane Seymour fan.
Yeah. Oh man, isn't everybody though?
Yeah.
What a hottie.
Yeah.
What a hottie,
man. Well, we are coming up on the end of the 2 hours here, which went really fast.
Good conversation.
Anything you want to promote? Everybody, I think you know where to find Diversity and Dragons channel, but
if you just find the channel. I am working on my own adventure too. Progress is slow.
Nice.
Rogan, Rogan is my artist, and I will show you guys maybe next week. Rogan, he doesn't promote it, but he is a direct relation, and I mean a fairly direct relation to Andy Warhol.
Oh damn!
Oh wow!
Okay.
So he is a very good artist, but he used to never draw. And I'm like, Rogan, you got to start drawing. He's like, well, shit. He'll sketch every once in a while, but I said, I want to do this adventure. I sent it to him, just kind of like the outline. I'm like, just start going at it. He's like, oh, he showed me something. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
That's awesome.
I'm like, dude, I'll show you next week. He is really good.
And
he is really good.
That's awesome.
So we're working together.
Yeah, if you once that's ready and you want to come back and talk about it on the show, we're more than happy to have you.
Yes.
Trust me, I'm going to be cashing in all my I'm not going to do a Kickstarter. I want to get the damn thing like just written and ready to go, and I might just drop it through like drive-through. Just put it on there. I'm doing everything. So
well, here's the thing: you do everything, get it done, and then do a Kickstarter because you'll make a lot more money than you will doing.
And it costs you nothing.
And here's the thing: you can fulfill the Kickstarter through drive-through. That's what we're doing for the Shucked Oyster.
Oh yeah, that's all right. So I might be leaning on you guys then to for some advice.
And we're leaning on everyone that we know that's already done Kickstarters because this is our first time. But
okay,
but that's what we're doing because we want to do kind of like the lowest risk. We'd like to do a high quality, print run, but it's that's an easy way to lose a lot of money on your first Kickstarter. So we don't want to do that. But you can fulfill through drive-through. The only downside to it technically is if you fulfill through drive-through, they don't count the crowdfunded numbers into like the metal tiers or whatever. So you could sell 1,000 copies and you're not even hitting copper
for like
or whatever,
right? So it's relying on your sales after the fact,
right?
It's like you're starting at zero. I see. That's okay.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like you've got an audience, you've got a lot of other people who are happy to support you and promote that. It's do the Kickstarter so you can actually make some money back on it, and then put it on drive-through, and hopefully people will continue.
And that can also grow the channel because more people are going to know your name who are not subscribed to you.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you for $5.
I have written before. I did do I got a submission into way back in the day, Dungeon magazine. I did one of those little mini adventures.
Yeah.
But it was a cool process, kind of having. At that time, it's like there's a lot of hurdles you had to jump through. It's not like you're your own boss. It's like you submitted something, they sent it back to you, said work on this. Right. So it was a cool process to kind of go through. That was ages ago.
Right.
But it does give me the confidence, like, I can do this. I mean, I did it before. This is a lot bigger in scope. Of course, from what I did. But I have a pretty good idea.
What system is it for?
Nominally, it's going to be I'm going to try to do a dual system. Dragon Slayer, Greg's, which covers the OSR. Which is a big part of my audience. But I do also like Shadow Dark. I did kind of want to do a Shadow Dark in lieu of like a 5th edition or whatever. I'm never going to do that. So it's like, if you 5th edition players can work it out, I'm doing it for Shadow Dark.
Right.
So
that's awesome.
Do it for both those.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah. You definitely can.
You definitely can. You definitely should.
Yeah.
And if Rogan's a good artist, then definitely send him our way because we've got more stuff that we're going to be working on, and we're definitely going to need more art. So
after he's done with my stuff, you can't have him until he's done with mine.
That's fine.
Of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I will definitely take you up on your offer, when it's ready to go.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Anytime you want to come back, let us know, man.
Yeah.
I love talking to you guys. And we're going to be talking next week in the sports world. It's called a home and home. It's
right. Exactly.
This game is at your place, and then next week our next game is at mine. So yeah, love talking to you guys, and we'll do it again soon.
Likewise, man.
All right, guys, I'm gonna see if I can figure out how to end the stream now to see if it where's StreamYard. Here it is. Exit full screen. All right, have a good night, gentlemen.